Hi, this is Autohaus Hamilton TV, and I'm James. Somebody had to be. The oil separator, or air oil separator, is an example of a PCV valve. You'd be forgiven for thinking that PCV is the stuff of a dyslexic plastic fetishist's wildest dreams, but it really stands for positive crankcase ventilation. In the 1960s, it was realized that letting cars vent their crankcases directly to the atmosphere wasn't great for air quality. Unburnt hydrocarbons are particularly bad for smog. This led to the adoption of crankcase ventilation systems, which feed unburnt hydrocarbons into the inlet manifold. And that begs the question, why do we need to vent the crankcase at all? The answer to that question is because even the healthiest engine has some blow-by, combustion gases which sneak their way past the piston rings and into the crankcase. A pressurized crankcase would push oil out past the engine seals, and that would not be a good thing at all. Air-cooled 911s had it easy, as a happy byproduct of those cars' dry sump engine designs. The crankcase is vented to the side of the oil tank, and the oil tank, in turn, is vented to the airbox. Oil droplets sink to join the oil in the oil tank, and unburnt hydrocarbons are burnt. With the arrival of the water-cooled boxer engines, such as are used in the 986 and 996 Carreras, with their wet sump design, a more sophisticated solution was needed. At that point, enter the air oil separator. And here I have an example of an air oil separator as used in late 996 and early 997 Carrera cars. The air oil separator does two things. First, it links the crankcase to the inlet system to allow those pesky unburnt hydrocarbons to be burnt. Secondly, it provides a way for the oil missed in the crankcase gas to be returned to the crankcase. The crankcase has a slight positive pressure. The inlet manifold has a negative pressure, a partial vacuum, and vacuums really suck. A healthy, properly working air oil separator acts as a regulator between the two, so that there is a small vacuum applied to the crankcase. This is similar to the gas pressure regulator on your barbecue, which stops your barbecue from being turned into an afterburner, or the pressure regulator on a scuba cylinder, which prevents a scuba diver from being turned into the Michelin Man. The element which controls that pressure differential is a diaphragm, which lives about here in the air oil separator, and that's the part of the air oil separator that eventually fails. The separation of oil droplets from crankcase gases is particularly important for the current design of direct fuel injection engines. Direct fuel injection engines inject fuel directly into the combustion chamber, which means that the inlet valves are not being kept clean by being washed by air-fuel mixture. A failed air oil separator usually shows up as a car which smokes excessively, especially on startup. To test the oil separator properly, a vacuum gauge is used, but a simple way to test is to remove the oil cap with the engine running. A failed air oil separator will cause the oil filler cap to be sucked hard onto the engine. In extreme cases, you'll hear the engine complaining as air is sucked into the crankcase past the seals. Because of the hard life that it leads, the air oil separator should be regarded as a consumable item. Sooner or later, it will need to be replaced. As ever, thank you very much for watching. The element which controls that pressure